Hello. In this lesson, we're going to work on modeling multiplication and multiplication charts. This lesson video is going to be a great tool for many different multiplication lessons you might need throughout these worksheets and throughout the year. First of all, there are a couple different methods or models that we can use to solve multiplication problems. The biggest thing to know about multiplication is it's not as scary as one might think. What multiplication means is we are doing repeated addition. So if we look at this very first one, it says 3 times 5. That means we have 3 hops of 5 or 3 count by 5s that we're doing. And a lot of you know your count bys or skip counting. The array model is another feature. Area model is another one, and equal groups model. We're going to break these down a little bit more. Let's start with the number line model. So the 3 tells us how many times we are going to move. We can do this one of two ways. We can either skip count by 3s 5 times, or we can skip count by 5s 3 times. We used our number line where we were skip counting our 5s 3 different times that we hopped. So if we count by 5s with skip counting, we get 5, 10, 15. So our answer of 3 times 5 is 15. Let's take a look at the array model. The array model is great when we're doing different types of rows. Anytime maybe you're planting a garden or seating people in an auditorium, you might use the array model. They used the picture of stars. A lot of times to make life quick, if we're going to draw out an array model, is to use dots. So again, we have 3 times 5. So we can have 3 rows with 5 stars per row. And we end up getting a 3 by 5. If we want, we can go and count each one of those stars and we would get 15. Or again, we could do our skip counting of 5, 10, 15. The next one is the area model, and we're going to use this method a lot this year. The area model is very handy if we are trying to find how much space is taken up in this shape. If we were to recarpet our house, we're going to have to find the area of each room. So the area model is going to be one that is very important. We can make it by drawing a big rectangle and then drawing smaller rectangles to break down. So if we have 3, we see 3 boxes. And 5, we have 5 boxes across. And again, we can go and we could count each box that we have on the inside. Or in this case, we could again do our skip count. We have 5, 10, 15. Now, the difference with the area model is usually we are working with some type of measurement. Our label for the area model does need to be units squared. In this case, they told us what the unit was. It's inches. So that's how we get the label of inches squared. We're not going to focus too much on the labeling and that information at the moment, but it is something good to keep in mind that area always has a label of units squared. And squared can have that little tiny 2 up top here, or we could write out the word squared. The last model is equal groups. A lot of times, if we're dividing students in a classroom, or maybe how many each person gets evenly, then we're going to use equal groups method. A lot of times you'll see these drawn as circles, and then you start putting dots equally among each circle. So you would have had one circle here, one circle here, and one circle here. And we would have started putting equal amounts. So we would have done one dot in each one of them. So that would have been 3. We would have kept going until we get all 5 dots in the shape. And then we could have counted those dots up to find out that 3 times 5 is still 15. Now, as you move through the units and you move through the worksheets, you might need to start knowing this chart. A multiplication chart is actually using the area model, where we have a top amount and we have a side amount. And when we multiply them together, we get the inside amount. So if I have 1, 1, I know I get 1 as an answer. If I have 1, 2, then I get 2 as an answer. If we move farther over, if I'm down the 5 row, if I have 5 and 3, that means I have 3 5s. I have 15. Notice some different patterns within this. If you go down the ones column, you'll notice that they all just go up by 1. The twos column, we skip count by twos. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, and so on. The threes row, we're skip counting by threes. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, and so on. Each row follows that same suit. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 column. What do you notice about the end digit in each of the inside numbers? Hopefully you saw that they're all even. If you are counting by an even number, you must have an even answer. That also goes along with if I did an odd number by an even amount, because we counted an even amount of them, we're going to get an even answer. Another thing that you should notice is in the tens column, they all end in 0. In the fives column, they all end in 5 or 0. Because when we skip count by those amounts, that's how we will always end. A neat little thing about the nines column is if I add the digits together, it should have a sum of 9. In this first case, I only have one digit, so the sum is 9. In the next one, if I add my 2 digits together, 1 plus 8, that will equal 9. 2 plus 7, 9. 3 plus 6, 9. 4 plus 5, 9. And I can keep going down this whole row and I will get 9 each time, with the exception of the times 11, because I doubled my 9 there. So kind of a neat little trick to see, am I on track? Another thing to pay attention to with the multiplication chart is if I don't know some of my bigger facts, usually people struggle with the 6s all the way to the 9s. Those are usually the harder rows that people don't remember as much. 1, make some flashcards. 6 times 6, and on the backside, write 36. That way you can practice the ones that might give you a struggle. But we can also use some of our other methods. If I know that 2 times 6 is 12, I can double it to find out how much 4 was. So we can start finding out what some of these bigger ones are by using smaller amounts that we already know and maybe double or tripling them. But this is something you really want to try to give practice. Our first units in third grade are multiplication units. The more you know these facts, the faster all of your math will go. Here are some charts that are broken out by each fact. So I have my ones fact. 1 times anything is the anything. So 1 times 1 is 1. 1 times 2 is 2. 3, 4. And I can go on down the row. I can work on my skip counting if I needed to. 1, 2 is 2. And I start skip counting 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. And I can get my charts filled in. I could skip count by threes 3, 6, 9, 12. And I could do this for each type. If you want, pause the video and try to fill in some of this chart. Again, any of them that are giving you trouble, please start practicing them now. The more you have these facts memorized, the better off you will be. And you can fill that chart in using something as simple as a multiplication chart or start doing your count bys. Both will be helpful. Please rewatch the video if you need any additional information to help you pass some of the units and worksheets. Good luck.